a group of school children spot something that will haunt them for a lifetime.
It's 1994 in Rua, Zimbabwe, at the Ariel School. And it's a typical school scene. Kids are running around at recess. The teachers are all inside, enjoying a break. All of a sudden, all hell breaks loose. The kids start pouring into the building, telling the teachers that they saw something very strange.
Some of the kids describe having seen two lights in the sky that are orange. And these lights appear to be getting closer, and then they're revealed as having this disc-like shape.
Once these strange crafts land, the children get an incredible look at who or what is driving them. They're even able to sketch the scene for their teachers.
You can see in the drawings that all of their descriptions are incredibly similar. Many of the children report seeing the same shorter humanoid creatures walking around the craft.
All the children seem to draw, though, one sort of consistent image of these strange people or figures. They all have very large eyes and very large heads.
The eyes that a lot of the kids put in these drawings are very intense. And that's not really surprising at all, because they describe this experience where if they make eye contact with the beings, those beings begin to communicate with them telepathically.
According to the children, the visitors share an ominous warning that technology would be man's downfall, and we need to act quickly to save the planet.
There's also a man that reports seeing two glowing lights in the sky in the distance. And the night before, there is a trucker who reports that he sees these two strange beings in the road.
This is a pretty big deal. We're talking about a large group of people seeing the same thing in broad daylight, but nobody believes them.
The teachers are inside the classrooms. They cannot corroborate what the children saw. Many of the parents have doubts. This is devastating to these kids who say they clearly saw something.
Soon the sighting gets the attention of UFO researchers around the globe, eager to interview the young eyewitnesses.
Could you tell me what you saw on Friday?
Well, it looked like roundabout, like a disc. They had big black eyes.
There are two researchers who come, Cynthia Hines, who's investigated other sightings in the area, and John Mack, a psychiatrist from Harvard.
Both of these researchers interview the kids, and they both walk away believing what the kids have to tell them. But these interviews aren't without controversy. For starters, Hines interviews the children in small groups, which might be a problem because you might have cross-contamination of the information that's being given in the interviews.
Of those who've analyzed the testimony, there seem to be two camps. One say this is the most compelling evidence for alien visitation ever, over 60 witnesses. Others say this is the most compelling case of mass hysteria they've ever seen.
Still, 3 decades later, the witnesses themselves stand by their stories.
And they still feel stigmatized and criticized, but in the midst of all that, they're not backing away from their story. And that makes it pretty compelling.
911 operators never know what kind of call they're going to get, so they try to prepare for anything. But in 2023, one dispatcher in Las Vegas gets a call no one sees coming.
In April 2023 in Las Vegas, 911 gets an emergency call from this kid named Angel Kenmore, and he is freaked out of his mind, utterly terrified.
Okay, what's going on over there?
Okay, lady. Me, my dad, and my brother were working on a truck in our backyard, and we just see something fall down from the sky, and it was with lights, and when it hit down, it was like a big impact, and we felt it.
When Angel and his family look outside, they say they see strange creatures crawling over family equipment in the backyard.
And we see there's like an 8-foot person beside it, and another one's beside it, and it has big eyes and looking at us. I swear to God, this is not a joke. This is actually, we're terrified of it.
So there's two people or two subjects that are in your backyard?
Correct, and they're very large. They look like aliens to us. Big eyes, they have big eyes, like I can't explain it. And they're not human, they're 100% they're not human.
DP68 copy, both units en route. We'll advise if we see any little green men.
When police arrive, Angel's entire family is assembled out on the front lawn.
Hey, what's up? Who called?
The family is freaked out. They believe they've seen something wild.
What'd you see?
It was like a big creature.
A big creature?
Yeah, like around 10 feet tall.
This is Las Vegas. Cops have responded to all kinds of calls throughout their careers. And you would think these cops are gonna kind of roll up and they will poo-poo the situation, take down the report, and go on about it. But in fact, these cops are actually pretty ready to talk to the Kenmore family because they have had their own encounter.
Because I'm not going to BS you guys. One of my partners said they saw something fall out of the sky too, so that's why I'm kind of curious.
Oh.
Caught on tape, their body cam records a large fireball screaming down from the sky, just as Angel describes on his 911 call.
A lot of people in the Las Vegas area saw this fireball and reported it. So something happened, and nobody quite knows what that something is.
With all this speculation, NASA does eventually step into the fray, and they claim that what the family and the police officers actually saw that night was a small meteorite. And they say that it would have crashed in the ocean hundreds of miles away. What's odd, though, is that a lot of the reports from Las Vegas at the time, and the family in particular, they claim that they heard the object hit the ground and make an impact.
So if the object fell into the ocean hundreds of miles away, how do you hear an impact?
I'm kind of curious now. I want to know if there's aliens.
The Vegas PD takes the story seriously enough to install a surveillance camera on the roof of the family home. However, it doesn't capture footage of any intruders, human or non-human.
The Vegas event is just the latest in a long line of UFO reports in the Southwest. The best known, of course, is the Roswell incident that allegedly occurred in early July 1947. But another strange sighting just prior to Roswell will coin a phrase now famous around the world.
It's June 1947, and a commercial pilot named Kenneth Arnold takes off from the airport at Chehalis, Washington, and he's flying to Pendleton, Oregon to participate in an air show.
It's a beautiful day, skies are blue, turbulence is clear, and Arnold decides to take a small detour. He's recently heard that a military transport carrying 32 Marines has crashed. He's hoping to find the downed aircraft to claim the $5,000 reward.
Around 3 p.m., as Arnold is circling 20 miles to the west of Mount Rainier, a brief flash of light catches his attention.
That single flash quickly becomes 9 objects across the sky, flying in a V formation. It's something Arnold has never seen before.
The objects seem to flip, bank, and weave side to side, which Arnold describes as being like the tail of a Chinese kite.
But what really makes Arnold's heart pound is their incredible speed.
Arnold clocks these objects as traveling at about 1,700 miles an hour. I mean, no human pilot has ever flown at speeds anywhere near that. This is just before Chuck Yeager breaks the sound barrier and becomes the fastest man alive, flying at 700 miles an hour.
Arnold immediately reports his sighting, and it ignites a media firestorm, one that generates an iconic phrase that will be associated with UFOs forever.
Arnold tells a journalist that the way the objects moved, it looked like they were saucers skipping on water. Well, what happens next is one of the greatest misquotes in UFO history, and the term flying saucer is born.
Other corroborating witnesses step forward, including a prospector on Mount Adams who reports seeing the same objects in the same formation at the same time as Ken's sighting.
The Air Force eventually gets involved and begins to investigate Arnold's claim.
Kenneth Arnold sticks to his guns. He is an extremely experienced pilot. He's got 9,000 flying hours under his belt. He's adamant this was no mirage. These were real, solid craft.
They interview him as well as the prospector, and they do decide that, yeah, these guys are credible. But they're not willing to go so far as to say that what they saw were aircraft. The Air Force turns around and says what they actually saw was a mirage.
Even in the face of government denial, Ken sticks to his story until his death in 1984.
In 2022, the United States holds the first congressional hearings on unexplained aerial phenomena in 56 years. Not to be outdone by their neighbors to the north, Mexico has their own. And the guests of honor are truly unbelievable.
It's September 2023, and it's a big day for Mexico City because the Mexican Congress has assembled to hear testimony about the possible existence of aliens visiting the Earth.
It's a specific journalist and ufologist, a man named Jose Jaime Mawson, who really steals the limelight. Dramatically, Mawson takes the microphone and hails two of his assistants to bring in two large coffin-like boxes into the room.
When he unveils the controversial contents, a hush falls over the crowd.
Mawson claims what they have in front of them are the bodies of two dead aliens.
They look milky white, like paper mache, and Mawson has named them Clara y Mauricio, and he claims that one is a male and the other is a female alien.
Mawson claims that these bodies were found deep underground in the Nazca Desert of Peru in September of 2017.
And before any of the lawmakers in the room could call BS, Mawson alleges that he's had these corpses carbon dated by Mexico's National Autonomous University. And according to the doctor, the bodies were buried over a millennia ago.
The timeline is shocking, but it's the biology that Mawson says defies explanation.
He claims to have had their DNA tested, and the results are that they're not human. And according to him, since there's nothing on Earth that currently looks like them or has ever been found in history that resembles them, this must be the greatest evidence of alien visitation ever found.
Even NASA gets involved and asks for samples of these so-called alien bodies. But to this day, Mawson refuses to share the bodies. He won't give anyone any samples, and the debate about the authenticity rages on across the internet, but also behind closed doors in the offices of these Mexican officials.
In August of 1976, 27-year-old twin brothers Jack and Jim Weiner decide to go on a camping trip to Allagash, Maine. Along with them come their childhood friends, Charlie Foltz and Chuck Rack.
The boys spend the first day hiking, setting up camp, just enjoying nature. But on the second night, something weird happens. They notice a bright white light in the sky.
It's not high enough to be a star, and it's not low enough to be a flashlight. And there's no electricity in the middle of the forest, so clearly it's not some sort of streetlight. It's just hovering there, and maybe it could be a helicopter, but the weird thing is it's not making any noise.
Jim grabs his binoculars. It's blindingly bright, and after a few moments, it just blinks out.
Despite the mystery of the bright light, the boys move on to their next campsite, not giving it another thought.
On the fourth night of their trip, the men decide to go night fishing on the lake. In order to be able to find their way back to camp in the dark, they set a big bonfire.
So as the night goes on, they're out on their canoes fishing. Chuck gets this weird feeling. An eerie one, as if they're being watched.
And as he turns around, he sees this bright orb of light again. The light is acting very strange. It's pulsating. It looks like a miniature sun. And so Charlie suggests, why don't we, SOS it with our flashlights? And as they do, it actually looks like the ball of light messages back.
For a moment, the men are all very excited, but soon their excitement changes. The orb is closing in on them, and they realize they are not going to be able to outrow it. They do make it to shore, and then suddenly, everything goes pitch black.
When they come to, they're resting on the shore, and this strange orb is hovering over them, and it's so close that they feel like they could throw a stone and actually hit it. And then this ball of light just takes off. At this point, all the men travel back to their campsite, and they realize that their campfire is actually put out.
The campfire that they built was huge, and the amount of wood they put on it, it should have burned for hours. But they think that they've only been away for a few moments. This shows that they lost a lot of time, but they don't exactly know how much or what happened during this missing time moment.
When they get home, they disclose the episode to some close friends and family members, and as they feared, they're met with shrugs or strange looks. Nobody takes seriously their account.
The general consensus is that they just probably stayed up too late camping, and they just imagined it all.
12 years later, still haunted by their experience in Allagash, the boys decide to undergo hypnosis to uncover what happened to them that night.
Incredibly, in private sessions, each of the four men recounts the same bizarre incident that occurred.
They all recount samples being taken from their body, blood, skin cells, hair, semen.
The men all remember the faces of the aliens they saw. They had large, dark eyes and bulbous heads. The men claim that these aliens spoke to them telepathically, telling them to remain calm and to do what they're told.
After the session, the friends are given a polygraph test, and all four pass.
Some will continue to call this a hoax or a delusion, but the four men are committed that they are absolutely telling the truth.
As renowned UFO researcher John Mack famously said, "This is not a club anyone wants to belong to."
In August 2018, 33 scientists published a paper that sent their scientific community into a tailspin.
The theory is that these cephalopods, squids, cuttlefish, octopus, they all came from a different planet.
Sound crazy? It may not be as far-fetched as you think.
Consider this. Octopuses have 33,000 genes. That's 50% more than what we humans have. So this means an exponential increase in genetic diversity.
They can actually also rewrite their genetic code to withstand heat and cold, so they can live in many different environments. These things are free thinking, can change color, they're very intelligent.
The octopus's brain is somewhat human-like in its operation. They can solve puzzles, they can use tools, but our brain is on our skull. Their neurons are distributed all over their bodies. What that means is that each octopus tentacle can think for itself.
The scientists theorized that since many of these genes are not found in any other life forms on the planet, maybe they are of extraterrestrial origin.
Even if our cephalopods came from one of these habitable planets, just how did they get here?
There's actually a theory of how life could go from one world to the next, and that theory is known as panspermia.
This theory speculates that meteorites or asteroids could have brought frozen eggs of extraterrestrial organisms down here to Earth.
These eggs could then thaw, hatch, and then become Earth creatures.